the frontal cortex is the main inhibitor for your emotions that come from here to go through and like manifest themselves. So you will still feel them, but your frontal cortex will make you understand what you can and can't do, what's appropriate and what's not appropriate, what's the best thing to do, because it speaks from a place of rationality rather than emotion. And for example, when you get drunk, that's the first part to shut off. So people, when they get drunk, they start like calling their exes. They start um, trying to like go out and talk to women, whereas they wouldn't have done that before because they were too scared. And the fear was from the frontal cortex. Now that they don't have that, they're just thinking with their um, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. And so they don't have that filter anymore, and they just go out there and do what they want to do. That's cool, but that's also really bad in a lot of like bad situations. And to me, the frontal cortex is the center of masculinity in general, because it represents rationality. And in like I think it makes the biggest difference between a masculine and a feminine person. You can tell if someone is masculine or feminine from how they act under stress, because a feminine person under stress will just crumble. A masculine person under stress will be the best one in the group, because he will understand what to do when nobody knows what to do. What's the best thing to do? What's the, the action plan? What can we do to fix the situation? Whatever. So, how can you train and use your frontal cortex more? And I used the word train because it's it's strange, but you can actually train it like a muscle. And I'm going to tell you a story. A few days ago, I was leaving for work, and I had prepared my lunch like in a box. While getting in the car, I dropped off the box, and it opened, and my lunch went on the ground. So I couldn't eat it anymore, and I was left without a lunch for the day. And at the start, like my first emotional reaction was like, no, no, and I I let that flow, and I just accepted that yeah, my lunch was on the ground. Well, what can I do? So I switched from being like angry about it, because I was at the start, I could feel that I was angry about it. But after, I think, a few seconds, maybe like, I don't know, 10 seconds of like being, well, why did this happen? I just switched to my frontal cortex and understood that complaining is not going to do anything, that crying is not going to do anything. What's going to do something is cleaning up the mess and leaving for work as soon as possible to avoid being late. And I that day I bought my lunch, and I ate not that healthy, but it was still food, so I wasn't angry. And that was like the best thing I could have done, because let's say I tried to save a bit of the food and lost a lot of time. Maybe I tried to uh, find something to grab from the fridge, and why would I do that if I can just buy it and not be late for work? And maybe you can think that, well, that wasn't the best decision because I don't care, I just acted using my frontal cortex, and that's the most important part. So I used that experience as training to be able to use my frontal cortex even when I'm having an emotional response. And an important lesson you have to learn from this is that you can switch to your frontal cortex if you haven't extinguished the emotion. Because a lot of the time, I find myself like arguing maybe with someone, or even just maybe talking to them, but I'm getting angry. I can feel it, and I just don't show it. And in that situations, in those situations, sorry, I can't speak English. I can see that I don't really extinguish the emotion. I'm still angry a little bit, and it comes off when I talk, even though I'm trying to use my frontal cortex. So what I did instead, when my lunch fell to the ground, I I actually let the emotion flow. Like, no, why did this happen? And obviously in Italian, but yeah, no, perché? Okay. Um, and I just like let it flow. And once the emotion was done, I automatically switched to my frontal cortex. So if you don't know, emotion, even in Italian, it's called emozione. Emotion is just energy in motion. So if something is moving and you try to stop it, it will create something. It won't like stop and and not do anything. So you need to let the emotion run, let it do its thing, and once it's done, it will go away by itself. So what can you take away from this video? Learn to feel your emotions first of all. Try to do that, because once you can feel your emotion and you can let it flow, you will automatically switch to your frontal cortex. And when you switch to your frontal cortex, you will become automatically like 10 times more masculine. Because if you act based on emotions, you will be driven towards a feminine behavior. If you act based on your rationality, based on your frontal cortex, you will be driven towards something more masculine.